Hello, sorry, I forgot to put the microphone on. Now you can hear me. Hello, everybody. I've said hello to you all. Hello, Trish. Hello, Norman. Hello, Paul. Sorry for that. I hadn't switched the button on. There's something in the way of the red light. I've moved it now, and I'd forgotten to turn it on. So the people in the class could hear me, but none of you could. So you should be able to hear me now. You'll have sound now. Sometimes I'm too prepared. I forget to do things. I think the background of this we're not going to do like it is, because basically I think what the background is the birdcage mesh with the landscape behind it, so it makes it look like denim, doesn't it? It looks like denim fabric. How you doing, Joy? Are you stationary, or are you boating or caravanning or whatever it is you're doing, or are you starport today? I've just given a rough idea of where the markings are. The colours across the top of the screen. Definitely cadmium yellow and cerulean blue. I've thought a bit of ultramarine for maybe some darker bits and possibly the background. Payne's grey or other version of greyish colour. Burnt sienna, not much, and maybe cadmium red. I was just trying to think of the darker parts of the bird's bellies. They're either brown or orange, or maybe a bit of both. I don't know. I've not worked it out yet.
Maybe the shadow.
Yeah.
Looks a bit weird, actually.
Yes, because I've sketched the shadow, but it does look like he's superimposed in front of it. It's a very strong light. That'll be the camera flash, won't it?
Yeah.
Because the shadow of the bird on the left, it's not as strong. Is that a customer?
I'm tempted to say I'm not going to do
I
that.
might put it in, but I'll put it in softer. I might have to twiddle with my lights as well when I get back.
Sorry? Yeah.
All's drawn.
It's not the colour I need.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Norman. You drawn D.
I'm traced.
Well, it's still drawn. It doesn't matter. The methodology of getting there doesn't make any difference.
Traced.
It doesn't matter. Hello, thank you, Norma.
Because I had me fill up the drawing yesterday with charcoal.
You enjoyed the charcoal?
Oh, it was fab. Loved it.
Good. It's a lot messier, but you can get some different effects, can't you?
I don't know whether you saw on Facebook Rosemary's excuse for mucky hands.
What did she say? No, I forgot. What did she say?
They weren't mucky at all.
No, they were mucky-ish. Well, compared to Rosemary's normal hands, they're filthy because she has a wonderful ability of staying clean in drawing classes, like pristine.
Well,
Even
I think she's a dirt repellent.
even her smudgy stick is clean.
You should see me on Tuesday after I finished it with graphite.
I just get it
I
everywhere.
get it all over my face.
I get it up my heart, all up there. But
It's
yeah, like you with the
crazy.
charcoal, Barry, I found I held my hand differently.
Yeah, I wasn't nowhere
'Cause I
near
knew
as
I didn't
dirty.
want to smudge.
No.
That's interesting. From here, looking at the picture, you can see trees in the background.
You can see the trees more than in. So that's why I think it is the mesh. But you can. It must be like a mountainy background or something. That's the blues,
Yeah.
and then you've got the trees on the left. I know he's on rope. They're holding rope, aren't they? That's what
Oh,
they're sitting
yeah.
on. But I'm gonna make it a branch,
Oh god, yeah, twig.
and we won't put the mesh in. We'll free them.
Good.
And I think, looking at the angle of the tree in the background, it's as if the whole picture's been rotated.
So the parrots
I
should
think
be more
they
that
should
way.
be,
Possibly.
'cause
Yes.
then that tree,
Yes.
Well, they can be leaning that way.
Yeah.
Leaning on the other.
was vertical.
Yeah. They've squared it up.
Well, I would if I was taking a photo.
Unless it's a leany tree.
Oh god.
I think we'll do just a nice wet in wet background, don't you think? Just to get that on. Although the birds we can do quite wet in wet as well. We don't have to do every feather. We just give the idea of every feather. The reason why I want to do the background first because it's going to be paler. Thankfully, the feathers of the birds are all darker. It's like a darker green or a darker blue than the background around the outside of all the animals. So I'm going to wet my squirrel. Jackie's still here, bless her.
Oh nice.
Every time she gets a coat to leave, somebody comes into the door.
As long as they're spending money.
Mainly not. So I will flick in a little bit just in case. I need to wet this enough. But not too much. But if I don't wet enough, then it'll not work. Sounds like a pub delivery outside, doesn't it? Rattling all the metal
It does.
barrels. Possible. So what I'm going to do is ultramarine with a bit of cad yellow, or if you've got my paints, it's autumn green, but I'm going to have it quite blue. It's going to be a bluey green, and I'm just going to drop it and roll it. So I'm using autumn green with more ultramarine in it, so it's cad yellow and ultramarine, and I'm going to keep it nice and soft and light. So we're not using lemon yellow today. Yeah, I want it nice and soft, because that way the parrots will stand out really nicely, because they're not going to be too in your face. You know, the background isn't going to be competing. I might go a bit darker than this, I don't know, but I'm going to try and go a bit greener lowered, although it's not green there at all, is it? It's green on this side. Roll the brush around. It's granulating beautifully.
He does love a bit of
I do. It's one of the good things about these paints.
It's gone green. You've got green sky.
Well, I don't think it is a sky, is it? Or it might be a sky. I don't know. I might drop in a bit of cerulean where I want an idea of sky, because there's going to be more cerulean in the parrots, you know, so the background will fit in if I drop a bit of cerulean in the upper bit of the sky area, or whatever this background is. It'll change the blue tone, but I don't want it too strong because our parrots are also blue, so and before this dries, I want to give the illusion of misty trees. So if I throw in a bit of burnt sienna into whatever that background mix I've got is, I'm just going to paint some tree shapes, although it's starting to dry already, and I'll let it go fuzzy. Let it run. I might stick something like that down here as well. Just play around, because I want the parrots to feel like they're in a nice environment. A bit of burnt sienna in with that background colour, whatever that may be for you. Just so mine's gone more of a green than a grey. I can't believe how fast it's drying, but I am sitting under a fan, so actually I can believe it. See, we can do more. We can have more fun with this than we can, you know, if we were just slavishly copying. I'm gonna let that dry now. See what happens. Who knows? Wednesday the 1st of December, Norma has booked a get together. What time, Norma, and where? It's usually lunchtime-ish, isn't it?
I think it's 12:30 at the Reindeer.
12:30 at the Reindeer.
When's that?
Wednesday the 1st of December. So you can all meet up. Some of you might have not seen each other in person before.
I'm thirsty.
Oh, 12:30 at the auctioneer.
Oh,
Old auctioneer, 12:30, Wednesday the 1st of December. I should go and meet up, Norman, then at the old auctioneer with everyone, and then you'll see them all the people you've chatted to online. I don't think I'll be able to on that time. I'll be either in between classes or
we'll all be in between classes.
yeah. But it depends if I've got Jackie or not, or if I've got other stuff going on. But I'll try and stick my head in to say hello to you all for certain. So Norma's put a number in the group page for this afternoon. To let her know.
Really loved all the tree drawings.
They're all so different, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, even in this room, half did charcoal, half did pencil.
Yeah.
So it was quite interesting to see how different everybody did them all.
I'm going to the Wickham Park Farm shop tonight.
Oh, are you?
Christmas fair.
Oh, lovely. Where's that?
Just under the way to Boxing, isn't it?
Yeah. If you go out on the Loxham Road,
Mm-hmm.
you turn left by Tudor Hall School.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And it's down there. It's not that I'm greedy, but they've got goodies. Well, I might not read.
Yes, I will definitely pop in, Norma. Forgot to put my little sign up. My on-air sign. I'll put that up. It just stops the people from swearing so loudly on their tattoo.
Sorry?
Got a bit mad with the trees.
You've got a forest.
Yeah.
Well, looks as if it's underwater.
a little bit of a reminder. I'm just waiting for this to dry naturally. It's not even half past yet, so that's okay. You see, I don't think there's, when you look at the whites of their faces, there's not much white of that face, is there? There's like it's blues. It's like a bluey shadow, isn't it, on there? There's very little white.
By the lower jaw.
Yeah,
But they're quite
because it's
pink.
got. Yeah, you've got. You see pink. See, I
Yeah.
see blue.
No, mine was pink.
What do you see?
I see more on the slightly more side of it.
Yeah, you must be right.
Well,
Oh,
almost
that's
got a bit of a purple in.
Does it, that round
No,
your
not
nose?
purple.
What's that?
Yeah, pink. A little bit
It's pinky.
Yeah, on his nose, but the other bits.
Let's see if I can get the
That'd be great.
I should have something
It's
now.
not white.
Reference image.
No, it's pink round.
There is pink around his nostrils, yes,
It's
Yes,
almost
there
like
is.
a grey, isn't it?
and then there's blues.
Is it grey?
But then now you're saying that, Dee, I can see a pink
Yeah.
line there, but then this is blue.
And then there's pink at the bottom of the other one.
There's a lot more colour in this than you think,
And
isn't
there's
there?
pink round where their
Oh.
beaks are. Jaw, no, where their beak.
There's pink, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
pinkish.
Yeah.
There and there,
And then there's a bit of pink there.
Yeah.
and then where their mouths open.
There. But
Yeah.
then this is bluey grey.
Yeah, but if you look at the top one, he's really pink round the jaw.
He's a bit pink around the eye as well.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I'd never asked. We should have just stuck it to white, shouldn't we, really? It's going to make me do more work. Ugh. We'll do that bit first. So, actually then, we'll go with ultramarine and cadmium red. And you can either do a reddy purple or a bluey purple. Or possibly even a bit of... if you do cad red and ultramarine, and then burnt sienna and ultramarine, you've got your blue grey and you've got your pinky grey. So I did say I queried cadmium red, didn't I? Because I thought it would be of you. In fact, I think it needs more of a pinky purple. That's a better colour. Oh, you can't even see my tile. You'll be complaining at me if I pop it up there, look. So I've got like a pinky purple and a bluey grey.
And that's the ultramarine and red sea.
Ultramarine and burnt sienna, or cadmium red and ultramarine. Now, this I want as a bit of a dry brush, because I don't really want to do too much of it, and if I don't pay attention. So this is a pinky purple colour. I'm trying to follow around his nostrils a little. I don't want a lot of colour on this, to be honest. Just as a hint and a tint. Because we'll do some darker lines and things on it later, obviously, but... And then the blue-grey kind of goes... Need to pale that down a little. Dry brush. Your little nostril sticks out as well, doesn't it? So this isn't the yeah. got little eye bags. So this isn't the black lines. We'll put those in with a much darker tone. This is sort of like the texture lines that I don't know what they are. I don't even know if it's feathery or what. I've never seen a macaw up close.
Those are spiky, aren't they? They're almost feathers without, just that are just quills.
Yeah. And it looks a little bit odd because we have no other colour on the bird at the moment, so that's the thing to remember. And he's got no eyes, so they look a bit demonic. Maybe they are demonic, I don't know. I've never really been a bird owner. My mum had a budgie when I was little. But I'm more of a cat and a dog person, you know. I can't imagine having a cuddle off a parrot. But I've seen videos where they're very affectionate. Which is not really for me. Yes.
Absolutely hilarious. Those associate parrots with William now.
Well, yes. I can see why.
Because once the black or the really dark stripes gone, that's going to be last. The dark feathers. That will be a last thing. I'll let that dry. So it does look a bit weird because the lightest bit is currently the darkest bit. I'll be back in a sec. I don't know if I've gone too dark now. Right, so I'm going to go with the cadmium yellow. going to be slightly green because it's filthy, and I'm going to just start plopping it in.
I've got a beautiful shiny new cat.
Oh yeah, you've just bought one, haven't you? I don't think that one should be as runny.
It's not. I'm not got used to it yet. This is
Oh, that's dark in there. Because the yellow is the lightest colour. I'm only going to do this one bird on this side because I want to drop in more orange tones while it's damp in his belly and stuff. So I'll mix a bit of cad red and cad yellow together, and if I drop it in, the paint will go feathery. Hint hint. I mean, it depends how wet your yellow is. You could almost drop red in and it will go more orange because he's got this shadow. I'm going to do the shadow of that bird as well around his leg. I want it to be quite dark. I mean, yeah, dropping cad red. If you want it even darker, you could add a bit of burnt sienna, but just be a little bit careful with the burnt sienna. We'll do shadow colours and things in this as well, but just for the basics. You see, the cadmium yellow, cadmium red to make an orange will darken it down a little, but it will still make it look like a yellow feather, whereas the brown, a little bit tricky. If you just be a bit sparing with your brown. So little short strokes. And as it dries, you'll see bits of feather that will create little lines. Think of feathers like fur, to be honest. I think that's the best way round I can suggest. He's reflecting the light there. That's light reflection, not colour. Now if I went in with a little bit of purple colour, it will go a bit brown, but it will help just define where his wing meets his body. So that's your cad red and ultramarine colour. And this can all be done while it's damp because it just gives extra feathering to the feathers. And I might do the shadow of the parrot in this colour as well, his beak and ultramarine, yeah. that you can just drop in a few places. So keep it all loose and light. What I don't want loads of fiddle. We want to free the fiddle. Oh, got a customer. Back in a second. I can give him time to dry, and it will stop me from fiddling actually. still not wet. It's still soggy in places. Well, yeah, you need the drawing helps. If you haven't got the drawing, it'll be a bit weird. Joy says looks weird. What looks weird about it? It's going to be weird at the moment because the whitest parts of the faces is currently one of the darkest colours that we've got, isn't it? But when it's got the blacks on and the greys and the really dark greens under its neck, hopefully it will feel a little bit more less weird for you, Joy. So I'm going to do birdie number 2. Exactly the same method. I'm not doing anything different. I hope there's going to be some nice snacks at the school fete tonight. I won't have eaten. Right, so now where's he dark? He's dark again under his wing bit here, isn't he? And then that's a bit dark, but then all of this is quite dark underneath here. Again, I don't want to go too dark, not too much with the brown, maybe a bit of purple though, because that will go brown. I think Percy's a bit too obvious for a parrot name, don't you think? Polly and Percy Parrot, Polly Parrot. It's funny we only seem to do alliteration on animal names with obscure animals, because you don't do it with cats and dogs, do you?
No.
You call dogs all sorts of things. Patchwork quilt. Well, maybe you could end up doing a bit more feathery work on him while it's drying with the maybe purple to give the illusion of little feathery lines. I'm not going to enjoy this until he's got eyes, so the next thing for me will be his eyes.
I watched the Portrait Artist of the Year last night.
And what did you think? I haven't seen it yet.
Some of them were very good, must be truthful. The weirdest one was where he did the eyes last. They were absolutely the last thing he put in.
Yeah,
And she looked like a zombie.
yeah, that's. often, you know, if I, I, I haven't really got a rule. If I remember, I'll put the eyes in first, but sometimes I'm that intent on trying to get the rest of the shapes right
Yeah.
that I don't bother. But it does unsettle me if I don't have the eyes in by at least halfway, because it does look zombified.
Just got these white bits. That was odd.
Yeah. I haven't. I stopped watching it because I was just finding it was annoying me, because the oh, Norma's getting a cat and he's insisted on her being called Cat, short for Catherine. So you are okay. That's Cat. Yeah. Will you have to acclimatise Betsy Boo? Well, she's fairly sociable though, isn't she? I've met her. I have met the great Betsy Boo once.
She looks as if she was going to be beamed up yesterday.
It was very alien-esque, the picture though, wasn't it? It was very
Yes.
do that we were doing. I'm doing a few more orangey flicks in both of them now. It's drying. Yeah, she is a sociable dog. I remember her being very sociable. So doing lots of little feathery orangey lines may stop it looking less patchworky, Joy. You could use a smaller brush. I'm just showing off and using my squirrel. How's it going, Paul? That's actually quite... I don't know why I didn't make this on orange... an orange leg rather than a yellow leg, because there's no yellow in that bit. It is quite dark. Trust the process, Paul. Trust the process. We were saying that with the poppies this morning. Even though it was just red and green, it wasn't until we started putting the darker tones on that it stopped looking like a child had painted it and looking like an older child had painted it, or a grown-up, hopefully. Mind you, I think drawing's the same, isn't it? Because drawing and watercolours are very similar in that you have to start from your lights and get darker. I don't want this to be too fiddly, but it is nearly 3 o'clock. So I'll be taking the drinks orders in a minute. I think that's enough. You're right, Dee.
Don't know.
We've only put one colour on so far, so you know it's going to change when he's got his greens on and his blues on. But I do want him to have eyes, because I think his eyes will make everybody feel a little bit better. Dry. I've just done little little lines like I would with like fur. Treat it like fur. I'm going to let that dry because I will be leaning. Actually, I will let that dry and I will do the drinks orders. I think. Dee, what are you having?
I'm having a what am I having?
A hot chocolate.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. Paid for.
Christine, what? Yeah, white americano.
A white American.
White americano. I will do that now.
I'm not sure about the swells.
I don't know.
It looks a bit sort of dry brushy to me, but that's right or wrong.
Just a bit more. Well, I'm going on the basis that it's got to look better than the dark skin.
Yes.
Because frankly, if it doesn't, then yes, good point. How precious should we get? He's in danger of turning into a red parrot. That's yellow, definitely yellow. But it's this shadowy thing. I don't know I'm going to draw it. I don't think I'm going to do much.
few years ago, I got my foot stuck at the bottom of the step, halfway up,
Oh no.
carrying a tray, and the whole tray went
Oh what?
all
no.
down the stairs.
Oh, down you.
No, not down me.
Oh, missed you. Oh,
Missed
well
me. I threw it up the stairs.
done. Thank you.
And there's 5 cups. And I just, you know, when the little lip of the step, I didn't lift my foot away, and
Yeah.
I just went like that. I know.
Oh,
No. Never mind. Double lotus biscuit. I'm not in
I'm
charge.
not saying that though.
Not in charge. Okay. So this is where the parrots will start to look amazing. I'm just going to dunk a biscuit. Hang on. I worked with a teacher once and she'd never dunked a biscuit in her life when she was in her 50s.
What?
We had to teach her in the staff room how to dunk.
That's called deprived childhood
Mm.
by any stretch of the imagination.
At some points I've been known to have 2 cups of tea. One for drinking and one for dunking, because I eat that many biscuits. It runs out of tea. Especially with a packet of Jaffa cakes or something, you dunk them, the whole pack's gone, and you got no tea to drink, so you have to have a spare drinking tea.
Well, you've always got paintbrush.
It's not that nice.
No, no.
Those eyes, they're not green and they're not yellow, are they? Let me mix yellow and a teeny weeny bit of cerulean. Well, that's an interesting colour. Maybe I think I should go ultramarine. So that they're just... And then we'll do some slightly darker bits around the edges. But I don't want it to be too dark. Maybe I'll throw in a bit of orange just to be annoying. They look weird, the eyes do. They're almost...
They're because they're dished in.
Yeah. I'll do it while it's all damp and then moan about that and wish I'd have waited. Cad yellow with a tiny bit of blue, so it's kind of... I've done cerulean, but then I went to ultramarine and I still couldn't work out which one was better. Either or. So it's not green and it's not yellow.
It's almost flesh colour.
Oh, I'll have the other biscuit now because I don't want it to go off. I'll just eat it now. Right, I'm going to hair dry these eyes because I want to go a bit darker. I've done it all damp, and now if I go with a little brush I can go a little bit darker with the inner bit. Again, these aren't pupils, this is the depth of the actual eye that I'm doing. And then I'll put the pupil in this. And it should look really good. Who knows? But the pupil and the beak we're going to do last because they're really dark, and the stripy bits. So it's or maybe we should just do the eye. We'll just do the eye to save you thinking it's a zombie parrot. What do you call a zombie parrot? A zombot or a parabee? I don't know. So you can either use Payne's Grey or Barry's Grey depending on what you're using. So I'll just do the pupil. There is a tiny little light spot in the pupil, but you could do that with a bit of gel pen. I'll paint his nostril in because that's dark. That'll do. I think you'll all be pleasantly surprised. Oh yes, the mountain next week. Because I mean, if you think about it, hopefully you'll start to see that the colour of the white that we painted is now looking less dark because we're starting to brighten up the colours around it. Hopefully. We'll put some green in next. The brighter green than the darker green. Although it's interesting, isn't it? On the parrot on the right, under his chin, it's a dark green. But the parrot on the left, it doesn't look green at all, does it?
No, it's really. I suppose you can see a bit of the green there.
I think, do I want to go with my squirrel? The squirrel will cover it, but I think I'm going to mix my green. It's cad yellow and cerulean, or summer green if you're using my paint. Again, give it a bit of a base. Yeah, but more yellow than cerulean for now. You might find it a little bit easier. So I can feather that down but I might drop in a bit more yellow. And I can put some more blues in. I will use this colour for under his chin of the right hand one. But I will end up going darker. I wish I hadn't lent on it. I will put a little bit of green in the neck of this one, but I will go darker later. It's really dark in there, but I won't do any. When I do the darker green, I'll start flicking it into the head a little bit more. But I think I want to put the cerulean blue in his back and top of the head.
It's a weird goldy colour on the top, isn't
It is. I don't like it, so I'm just going green. I'm changing the colour of my parrot. I'll probably put a little bit more yellow on the top. And even though I'm not using really heavy opaque artist's quality, it will tint. I guess it's kind of an orange yellow, isn't it? Which is what makes it a bit more goldy.
Yeah.
I could maybe flick in. I've got some orange here. I'll just shove some of that in. I mean, paint beautifully and delicately.
Is that what it's called?
Yes. And then we can do some darker greens. Orange, cad yellow and cad red. I've just flicked it on top of the green. The green is cad yellow and cerulean, and then the wings are going to be just cerulean, I think. I haven't decided yet, but it's not ultramarine, is it? And it's not purple. It's just really strong. I suppose if you've got phthalo blue, you could use that. Yeah, that orangey colour flicked into the head does give it a more of a goldy look, I suppose. Right, let me try with the... Oh, I nearly went to the wrong blue then. That could have been embarrassing. Right. Yes, if I really strengthen the cerulean, that's just the right colour, look.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm good at my job, you know. Just sometimes. Right, let's flick into the other feathers. Gosh, my cerulean blue is lovely, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't really use much of it, but yeah, nice. Got a customer. Thankfully, I'm not doing anything wet in wet, so that's good. So I'm just going to quickly try and get this parrot head done, and then I've just got its wing and stuff to add. I'll be back in a wee while. It's looking alright. Oh, I think they were just browsing, they've already left. That was a quick sweep. Sometimes I used to do that, you know, when you're in I call it the sweep, when you go into a shop and it's not what you thought it was, but you just do a polite sweep round
Yes.
just to make it look like you're browsing, but secretly you need to get out there. Can you see how it's actually building up now? Is it starting to make you feel a little bit better? No.
Yes, Barry.
Good answer. Good. You've all paid now, so I don't really care. But, you know. I think that works all right. I might use a purpley colour on this blue to darken it in places, you know. I'm going to let that dry first. Got male and female. Do you think it's male and female? Is it to do with the bibs under their necks? One's darker and one's greener.
I don't know.
Paul's just written male and female, so maybe I would imagine they're a couple. Yeah. Aww.
Could have.
So we've got our dark greens to do, and then we've got the darker tones to do as well. I might use my thinner brush just to flick in a little bit of the blue into the yellow to make it a bit more feathery. See, the darker parts that I've put in the shading between the wings, I think it needs to be darker, but I'm going to go with my purple again and just do a few little lines in that. Although technically I could do the purple in the green feathers on the head, because they are slightly darker. This is a bit fiddly, but it is 3:30. Just warning you. Where is the time gone? And we've only got about 4 lessons left before We break up for the year. I'll make it sound like we're a massive breakup. We only have 2 weeks off and then we start again, but you know. And one of those sessions, I don't know how it lands this year. I've not really looked into it very clearly. So bits of purple work really well. That's your cad red and ultramarine to shade all your feathers. But I think once again, it's looking at the bigger picture with something like this. That currently they've got white beaks and pale coloured under their bibs,
Yeah.
whereas in the finished picture, it's darker.
Really dark on his chin, isn't it?
Which one? The left-hand one.
Oh, the right hand one.
It's yeah, it's almost. It's not quite black and it's not quite green. Polly want a cracker. I think this is one that you'll all come 2 minutes to 4 and it'll be, wow, I can't believe this amazing painting of a parrot was done by me. That's what you'll be saying.
Wow, apparently that's so awesome.
Yeah. We must pay you lots of money and come to every single class you ever do.
Well, we know that anyway.
I'm going to go with ultramarine and cad yellow or autumn green to do a nice dark sludge under their bib, because that lighter green was too light. But if we can start getting darker, and then I will probably do burnt sienna ultramarine mix on that, because I have also remembered that we've got a bit of foot and a bit of branch to do, haven't we?
Foot.
That little white bit there's his foot.
Oh no, that's off the edge of the paper.
No,
Yes. Oh, way gone.
it's all branch, is it?
No, there's no branch.
Floating parrots.
It's just bird.
It's all beak to me.
Yeah.
That was handy. I just found myself leaning on this other parrot and I'd painted this dark green. Thankfully, I hadn't leant on that bit. Right, let's go with that. Let's let that dry. Then we can do the real dark bits. Yeah, that and that is ultramarine and cad yellow, so it's a really dark, sludgy green. But then I'll go over that again.
That black is on the is big is the blackest black, actually, isn't it?
On that one.
That there and there, the
Yeah.
blackest blacks, the blacker even than the beak.
It is because of it's more of a green black, I think, whereas
Yeah.
this is the beaks are a great. That's lovely, Dick. Might have to just take your money and ban you.
No, not loud.
That's lovely. I like your background as well, Chris, because you've got more of a tree thing going on. I haven't put as many in mine. See, this is the trouble now. I'm starting to teach real life students again. You're all doing good work. I'm supposed to be flattered by that, apparently, but I'm not. I just get annoyed because it shouldn't be that good. So that's why I've put the green first, because if I use my ultramarine burnt sienna, I'm going to do that instead of Payne's grey. If I put that, yeah, see, if I put that underneath and feather it in, you can see how it looks a really dark black compared to any other black. So with that, I'll then carry that round. I should be using a thinner brush now. I don't want to get the paint off that though, because I'll use that for the other bib. Oh, wrong one. That's the one I'm after. See, that's looking a bit parrotish now, isn't it? I'll do the other one. Nice and sludgy with that darker green. I want more green showing on Parrot on the right, but more dark on Parrot on the left.
Oh, I can find it for some reason.
Let that dry. Then I'll be working on the outside of the beaks, then the inside of the mouth. But I told you, it's amazing once the darks go on, isn't it? How it really changes every aspect. They look weird without beaks, don't they?
I'm still trying to make sense of where I'm going.
I wish I'd have drawn in the black spiky feathers around his face. I've had to, excuse the pun, wing it. But yeah,
Look a bit like tigers.
yeah. I'm really intrigued by it because they don't look the same texture of feather either. Just trying to darken underneath his So I'm going to do a burnt. If you can use Baines Grey or a burnt sienna ultramarine mix. I'm going to pale it down a little bit and do the outside of the upper beak. And then almost dry brush it. I guess you could always put white gel pen on the beak to give it that really worn effect. The linear cracks and yeah, it's all the scuffs on it, I suppose. Nuts. I will go a bit darker on the beak once once it's settled. Are you enjoying it though? Because it's a very different challenge. We don't do birds that often, and certainly not in this way. So I'm trying to dry brush it a little. And I don't want it too dark because obviously the inside of the mouth has got to be dark. Yeah, so either pale Payne's Grey or burnt sienna and ultramarine. Oh, do you know, I've just spotted a bit of orange that should be the other side of that beak there. That's annoying, I'll have to fill that in. Right there. You can see the other parrots.
Oh no, you can't.
You can't in yours.
No. Not playing that game.
I'm gonna have to fill it in. I've got a bit of it would help if I got a clean brush. That'll do. Now, oh, you can see their tongues in this. Not in yours, I bet, Dee.
Oh yeah, they are mine. They're black, aren't they?
Yeah, blacky grey. Really want the inside of that mouth to be as dark as I can get it. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. very quiet on Facebook. I went to look online to check that my phone hadn't my screen hadn't froze because you've all been so quiet. But you're just being quiet. I suppose you're concentrating. I'll let you off. I'm sure I did this exact picture on a Thursday morning, but we did it in biro. Just biro. Which is quite interesting. Are you enjoying it, Christine? Good answer. It's a bit different to Tuesday evening's tree, isn't it? Good, thank you, Norman. I'm glad you're still there. It is. There's a lot more to this. Yeah, that's good. I remember doing a WI. I don't know where in the country I was. I was in a WI demonstration, and it was a special celebratory evening, and husbands were allowed to join.
Oh.
And at the end, a husband came up to me and he congratulated me, and he said, "You, sir, are a magician." And I thought it was going to be saying how amazing my painting was, and he said, "Actually, yes," he said, "you've been in a room full of 40 women and they've all been quiet. How have you managed to do that?"
So.
I thought clearly by being more interesting than you are. I didn't say that though, but they hadn't paid me at that point. You got to pick you when you have your battles, haven't you? Now I've got to do his leg because Christine, have you drawn his leg, his foot, or is it just me? It's just that little bit there. I'm doing it that pinky purple colour that I've still got. I'm going to colour that in a little bit and outline it a little bit. Quite lumpy, the skin on the foot, isn't it? I'm sure they're not called... Are they called feet? Do birds have feet? They've not got a different name. Ooh. It's a good challenge, isn't it? I've still got the... I've still got the branch to do, which I'll do in a sort of browny colour. Oh yeah, so next week is a snowy mountain in the mist, and then the following week is Stonehenge with a rainbow. Now the rainbow, we might use chalk pastels with claws. Thank you, Jill. They are claws. We might use the coloured pastels for the rainbow to help us. it's just a lot easier than in watercolour. So that could be an incentive for more of you to join us in real life next week, to see what I'm doing. Some of you, I think, have done rainbows with me before in watercolour where we've used pastels, and it always works really, really well. I'm enjoying these little things.
Good. Nice
It's how sharp they are.
ridiculously sharp, aren't
I suppose they've got to be sharp for what they need them for, but I wonder if they get very aggressive. Wouldn't want to be on the receiving end.
they? Books look really sort of scarly, don't they?
Yeah. I wonder, because it's bone, isn't it, a beak?
Is it?
I think it's keratin, isn't it? The same stuff as fingernails and hair and all of that kind of stuff. So I suppose our fingernails scratch in the same way, actually, don't they? If you scuff your fingernail on something, you get that sort of pattern. So you could use a gel pen to replicate that, but just tap it with your finger to soften. See, I've just had a flash up on my phone. New from Sheila's Sweets. A Reese's Cup ice cream with Reese's peanut sauce. Who wants it? That sounds heavenly sickly. But I need dairy free now, so she does do dairy free ice creams, like dairy free gelatos and stuff, and she does dairy free milkshakes, which is good. I'm mixing some brown and green together for this little bit of wood because it's actually 4 o'clock. Can you believe it? I haven't even waffled about stuff today. We've just been painting. And I've got to set up by 6 o'clock. Well, 6:30 tonight at Roxton. I haven't even packed. I can't pack. The trouble is because it's stuff that we sell in the shop. I can't pre-pack it until the shop shuts. Never mind. When we used to do the art fest, which I don't think I'm going to be doing anymore because it's just too much to organise. We used to have to, I say we, it was me, have to come in on a Saturday night after the shop closed. I'd have to box everything up, but we had a 4-metre countertop in the marquee, so I'd have to take literally all the stock and the brush bars, load the car, keep it in the car, and then, or some years I've loaded it, kept it all in the shop, and then drove past outside the shop at 7 o'clock on the Sunday morning to load it all up, and then driven round to the field for the show. Well, yeah, because we also used to provide the art screens for the artists to hang their work, and we used to have to drive and collect them from Great Rollright. So on a Saturday night, I'd have to go and get those. So the boxes of stock would stay in the shop. Go up Saturday night to Great Rollright, collect the screens, keep the screens in my car, then drive to the marquee, set those up, then drive into the shop to fetch the boxes of stock, then drive back and set up the shop, and then at the end of the 6-hour show we'd have to box it all up, and then I'd have to drive all the stock back to the shop, go back to the field, pick all the screens up and drive those to Great Rollright. I mean, Jackie would be helping at the closing down side of things. I mean, the kids were much younger when we started this, so she couldn't leave them on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's so much work and we struggle to get artists to join in.
Really?
Yeah, they do it once. I tell you, Dee, they get a 2 metre pitch for 35 quid. That's all we used to charge, 35 quid for a 6 hour day, and we would get 1 to 2,000 people in through the marquee. And I used to keep saying to them, you need to have a lot of prices because people aren't necessarily coming to spend money until the art fest becomes a really big name
Yeah.
on its own. People are here to buy popcorn and ice cream and watch
Yeah.
the dog show or whatever. But because people weren't making thousands of pounds, they used to get really upset. And I say, well, what do you really want for a small market town and for 35 quid? I mean, that's nearly the same price as St Mary's bric-a-brac stall.
Yeah.
And so some would stay for a year. Some won't come back the following year unless they've made loads of money. Some would get really annoyed that the store next to them sold loads of stuff and they didn't sell any, which was somehow my fault. Certain artists just never even turned up. They wouldn't pay for the pitch, they wouldn't turn up, so then they were blacklisted and I wouldn't invite them again the following year. But what is really frustrating, and it's the same as with the cafe display downstairs, I used to get told, oh, it's a cultural desert here, there's nowhere for artists to display their work, there's nowhere for artists to do this or that, so I set it all up. And I'd book people in the cafe, well, in my own shop as well, previously. 2-year waiting list, they'd have a month-long exhibition, I'd promote it, and they wouldn't turn up.
Oh.
And I think that is why you're not getting asked to display your work, because you're very unreliable. It's shocking.
It's also seriously not fair.
It isn't. Oh, you'd really be surprised as well that I've I can be fiery. That probably doesn't surprise you, but it takes me a while to snap, and then when I snap,
You've got.
I've gone.
Yeah.
My mum's always said I'm like a bottle of pop, fizzy pop. Shake me up, take the top off, and I'll explode. But as soon as I've gone,
Yeah.
it's all forgotten. I don't hold grudges or anything like that, but I do say what's on my mind. And a few artists have pushed me too far over the years, so I've stood up for myself.
Yeah.
And then they block me, unfriend me, tell everybody that I'm this sort of evil entity. It's quite fascinating, really.
But you can't. Oh, I don't know. I don't think you can.
But they take it all personally, and for me, it's business. It's not personal,
Yeah.
I think if you've got a professional organisation or it's a professional business event, if somebody says, hang on, you're not doing this right, and I don't like the way you've done this, or you shouldn't be doing that, then that's business. It's not professional. It's not personal. So to take it personally is a bit annoying. But never mind.
It's also a bit unprofessional on their part.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't suppose that comes into the equation, does it?
No, I had one tutor once that I'd hired to run some classes here, some courses years ago, and the tutor kept promoting online art supplies.
No.
And I was very professional with it by email, and I said, look, I really don't like that. I'm paying you to be here. Really, you should be recommending what we sell only. And the tutor was like, oh well, I'm a I can't remember the phrase they used. I'm a equal opportunities art tutor. I said, not when you're being paid by a company. No, you're not. And they were very offended, and they haven't spoken to me since. I'm just using a bit of a white gel pen on his beak. It's funny, but thankfully, I don't really get upset by that. I just go, oh dear, that was a bit of a shock, and I'll just crack on. Plenty more people I've got to annoy.
Oh, you've got a bit of blue on it. I didn't see.
I think think that's turned out all right. How's it's 4:05? I'll have to charge you overtime. How's that gone for you? Very quickly, I would imagine.
Yes.
But it is one of those paintings where you're relying on the drawing, aren't you? If your drawing's off, your painting's going to be off, isn't it? You know, it's not going to work in the same way. Now my parrots seem quite orange, but when I'm looking at the reference photo, they're still nowhere near as orange as the parrots. But I'm not gonna darken them. I think we'll leave it as it is. I've enjoyed that. So mountains next week. I'll tell you what's coming up next week. Over the next week. Tomorrow afternoon. Oh, it's a peaceful evening over the sea. Do you remember doing that one with the it's like ochres with the long grasses and the moon? That's tomorrow afternoon. Saturday morning is calligraphy, and we're actually using a brush with a bottle of ink to do brush, not brush pen, but brush calligraphy. Monday morning live from Waddington is a snow-covered volcano in acrylics. Basically, it's a mountain, a snow-covered mountain. Monday evening are going to do these parrots. Tuesday afternoon is well, it's figure puddle and autumn leaves. Basically, it's nearly all an expanse of land with a big puddle with the photograph from the floor looking across, and then a figure in the distance reflected in. Tuesday evening is a beautiful dead tree in the mist in acrylics. Lots of yellows and golds, isn't it, Chris? It's gorgeous. Wednesday afternoon is a portrait of a child. Thursday morning is hills, winter, trees and sunset in acrylics, and next Thursday afternoon is your snowy mountain in the mist. Thanks, Trish. I look forward to seeing what you have created too. I will of course take a photograph of this and place it next underneath the post of the reference image, and I'll get this on ArtStream as well as soon as the class finishes. I'll be downloading and uploading and doing whatever it is I've got to do. And that was fun. Thanks ever so much, everyone.
Good.
Take care. Oh, that's yeah. You've got more orange than me. Oh, and you have.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. It makes them more solid. On Monday night, I will go probably too much with the orange. Yeah, that's really nice.
Orange in the,
That-
the shadows.
They are.
You see, this is a thing I can fiddle with the feathers.
Yes.
I can fiddle around.
You see,
Yes.
if I'd got time today, I would probably add more orange.
Feathers on the top.
Yeah, in this part here, because he is quite pale. But I thankfully I get 2 more goes, don't I? I'm doing it Monday night and I'm doing it in the 12 weeks on a Friday. So it's quite nice in that I can go, oh no, I need to try it a different way. So on Monday I can go, right, this is what I did, but I don't think it was orange enough, so I'm going to go more orange. But then if that's too much, I can go on a Friday in 12 weeks time. I want to go somewhere in between these two. So thanks ever so much, everyone. Have a really good week. Well, weekend now, isn't it? Nearly.
Oh yes.
Stay safe. If you're off out on, I've got a gig on Sunday at the RAF club, 2-hour gig, and I thought it would be 1940s songs, but actually they want a Rat Pack sing-along, so I'll be doing lots of Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra songs, so that'll be quite nice. Something different.
That'll be good fun to do.
Yeah. The ones they can,
You can't sing a note.
well, they can sing along. They can sing along or
When I was at school,
sway
the
along.
music teacher, because each class had to have a choir. Because I was little, I had to be at the front. And she said to me, you just open and close your mouth. Not one sound comes out.
Aw, poor Dee. Just mime. Thanks ever so much, everyone. Have a good weekend. See you soon. Bye.